Guys, I want to talk to you today about viruses, specifically the structure and function of a virus, and also a little bit about the coronavirus, what it is, how it spreads, and all that good stuff. So, I'd like to start by showing you my awesome Play-Doh model of a virus. And I built this to look like the current coronavirus. So we have to start with the structures of a virus. And for starters, these red spike looking things right here are called protein keys, these guys right here. And the orange thing right here is the protein coat that surrounds the virus. So remember that proteins are biomolecules, and so that makes up the outer structure of the virus. All right, so the next thing you need to know about a virus is that they are very, very small. They are approximately 1/100th the size of a human cell. So what I've done here is I built a cell out of a garden hose right here. And this is just about 100 inches across in either direction. And my little virus that I showed you in the previous screen is about 1 inch across. So you can see that this is exactly or pretty close to 1/100th the size. So imagine this as just one of your random cells, which are difficult to see with a microscope. And now we're going 1/100th of that size, which is the size of a virus. We cannot see viruses with microscopes. We have to use something called an electron microscope, but we do know that they are there. Okay, so what exactly does the name coronavirus mean? It seems like kind of a random name, and no, it has nothing to do with the beverage. But the word corona actually is Latin for crown. And it got that name because this sort of appears like, I don't know, I guess something you would see on a crown. However, in other science, this light area that you see is called the corona of the sun. So you can see that it surrounds it completely, and that's where we get that name. Now, if we look at, this is an actual electron microscope image of coronavirus, and you can see that it sort of appears like that crown or that glow that's around the sun. So this is an actual picture of it with false color. And then if we go back to my amazing model right here, we can see that those spikes once again stick out sort of like rays from the sun. All right, so now that we've discussed the outside, it is made of protein with these special protein keys. Let's talk about what's inside. So the virus itself is actually made of the protein on the outside. This dark blue squiggly line on the inside is actually the genetic material. So this happens to be RNA, or ribonucleic acid. Some types of virus have DNA, but the coronavirus contains ribonucleic acid, or RNA. Now, once again, the protein that I spoke about around the outside, the virus is enveloped in this membrane of oily lipid, phospholipid type molecules, which, by the way, come apart when it comes in contact with soap, just like grease on a dirty pan. So wash your hands with soap often because that is the best way to break down the virus molecule and keep it from infecting healthy cells. All right, so how does a virus infect our cells? Well, for starters, the virus enters the body through the nose, mouth, or eyes, and then it attaches to cells in the respiratory system. Those are things that includes your airways, such as your nose, your mouth, your pharynx, even your eyes. Once the virus enters the body, it finds a healthy cell to attach itself to. So this right here is meant to be a healthy cell, and here, of course, is the cutaway version of our virus. All right, so I have definitely spent some time talking about these protein spikes. These protein spikes are actually a little bit like keys. And you can see that on the edge of my imaginary cell, I have put a little protein, which is actually called ACE2. You don't need to know that, but just for the sake of trivia. And what happens is the protein key can sort of unlock that protein and gain access to the cell. So the virus um, matches up with that protein key, it uses its oily membrane, and it gains access to the cell. Okay, once the virus has gained access to the cell, it injects its genetic material, once again, that is the dark blue, which is the RNA, into the healthy cell. The healthy cell then reads the genetic material, it reads the RNA, and begins manufacturing proteins, which are supposed to be represented by these little red and orange dots, that will do two things. First, they're going to keep the immune system from activating. So your body doesn't recognize the fact that it has a foreign invader. And the second thing it does is it starts building new components of the virus. So it basically starts replicating the virus. As the cell begins replicating the parts of the virus, it begins assembling the new viruses, and eventually the cell will produce so many new viruses that it will burst out of the cell, destroying the cell in the process. And this is what we call lysing the cell, or the lytic cycle. So that's L-Y-S, lyse. The viruses can then go on in search of new healthy cells to invade, or they can end up in droplets that escape the lungs, such as in mucus or water vapor that escapes when we sneeze or cough or even breathe. They escape into the air and then can infect others in their search for healthy cells. So the big question here is a virus living? And the answer to that is a little bit controversial. And right now, the answer is no. So even though the virus contains genetic material, RNA or genetic material, and contains proteins, it is not considered a living thing. And here's why. For starters, it relies on a living host in order to reproduce. Reproduce. Okay. The second thing is it does not consume nutrients. Um, it does not produce waste. Whoops. So some basic, it does not exchange gases, etc., etc. So yes, it can reproduce, but it needs a host. It does not consume nutrients, although it does take over a host cell. It does not take in oxygen or carbon dioxide and release any immediate gases. So this is considered a little bit controversial since it does contain these natural biomolecules, which we said were part of a living thing, but it also is not made of cells. All right, so in a protein shell, haha, just kidding. In a nutshell, that is what a virus is and how it replicates and infects healthy cells. So please answer the questions attached and stay healthy and wash your hands.